Imagine waking up in Europe in 1914. The continent looks powerful. Huge empires, or armies, new technology. But underneath it all, Europe is becoming a powder keg. Then, on June 28, 1914, in Sarajevo, 2 shots are fired. Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, is dead. Within weeks, Europe is at war, and within years, the world will be changed forever. So how did 2 bullets lead to a global war? To understand that, we need to go back to Europe before 1914. The continent was dominated by Germany, Austria-Hungary, Russia, France, Britain, and the Ottoman Empire. They were competing for territory, colonies, and influence. Nationalism was rising, armies were growing, and Europe had divided itself into competing alliances. Germany and Austria, Hungary were closely connected. France and Russia were allies. Britain was increasingly aligned with France and Russia. The idea was supposed to provide security, but it created a dangerous problem. If one country went to war, its allies could be pulled in too, and the most unstable region was the Balkans. The Ottoman Empire was weakening. Serbia was becoming more powerful, and Austria-Hungary feared Serbian nationalism could threaten its own empire. Then came Sarajevo. On June 28th, Franz Ferdinand was visiting the city. An assassination attempt failed. But shortly afterward, his driver took a wrong turn. The car stopped. Nearby was a 19-year-old Bosnian Serb named Gavrilo Princip. He fired 2 shots. Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophie were dead. The assassination was the spark. But the real explosion came afterward. Austria-Hungary blamed Serbia and sent an ultimatum. Serbia accepted most of it. Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia on July the 28th. Russia mobilized to support Serbia. Germany demanded that Russia stop. Russia refused. Germany declared war on Russia. Then France. Germany invaded neutral Belgium. And Britain entered the war. In just a few days, a crisis between Austria-Hungary and Serbia had become a European war, and almost nobody understood what was coming. Many expected the war to last only months. Instead, it lasted more than 4 years. Germany's attempt to defeat France quickly failed. By the end of 1914, armies had dug in. The Western Front became a massive network of trenches stretching hundreds of kilometers. Between them was no man's land, and crossing it could be deadly. This was industrial warfare. Machine guns, heavy artillery, barbed wire, aircraft, submarines, and eventually tanks. Technology had transformed the battlefield, but military tactics had not caught up. Generals could order huge attacks. Machine guns and artillery could destroy them. The result was a war of attrition. At Verdun in 1916, Germany and France fought for months. Then came the Somme. On its first day, the British Army suffered tens of thousands of casualties, and yet the fighting continued for months. But amid all this destruction, something extraordinary happened. Christmas, 1914. Along some sections of the Western Front, British and German soldiers stopped fighting. They climbed out of their trenches. They exchanged food and cigarettes. They collected the dead, and in some places they even played football. It wasn't everywhere. It wasn't an official peace, but for a brief moment, soldiers on opposite sides saw each other as human beings. Then came 1907. Russia was collapsing after years of war, shortages, and political unrestraint. The Tsar was overthrown. The Bolsheviks took power, and Russia moved toward leaving the war. But another major power was entering, the United States. Germany's unrestricted submarine warfare and the Zimmermann telegram helped bring America into the conflict. In April 1917, the United States declared war on Germany. Now, Germany faced fresh American troops and resources, while Russia was disappearing from the war. In 1918, Germany launched one final major offensive. It made significant gains at first day, but the attack could not be sustained. The Allies pushed back. American forces continued arriving. Germany's military position collapsed. Shortages and political unrest spread at home. Its allies began falling apart. Finally, Germany agreed to an armistice at 11 a.m. On November 11th, 1918, the guns stopped. World War I was over, but the consequences were just beginning. 4 great imperial systems had collapsed or been transformed. Germany, Austria-Hungary, like Russia, and the Ottoman Empire. Borders were redrawn. New countries appeared. Millions were dead or wounded. Europe was economically exhausted. Then came the Treaty of Versailles. Germany lost territory, faced military restrictions, and was required to pay reparations. The League of Nations was created to prevent another major war, but the peace was fragile. The war had left behind economic problems, political anger, new borders, and intense nationalism. And Germany's defeat and the post-war settlement became powerful sources of resentment. 21 years after World War I began, Europe was at war again. In 1939, World War II began. The Second World War was not simply caused by the First, but World War I had completely changed the political landscape. So what really caused the First World War? Not one assassination, not one country, and not just the alliances. It was the combination of nationalism, militarism, imperial competition, political tensions, and a rigid alliance system. The assassination in Sarajevo was the spark. The alliances turned it into a chain reaction, and the decisions that followed created a global catastrophe. World War I was supposed to be the war to end all wars. Instead, it destroyed empires, redrew borders, transformed warfare, and reshaped the world. On November 11, 1918, the guns fell silent. The war was over, but the world it created was only beginning.